Well, good morning. I guess it's still morning. It's Friday. It's September 11th, 9/11. Uh, T+538, and I'm not sure which journal it is. I wrote this a few days after being released from Cedars-Sinai Hospital uh, last Saturday, and didn't record it at that time. And I'm just now getting around to recording it now. But I'd really feel like I had failed if I didn't at least note the significance of today, 9/11, 19 years after the towers went down. It's a particularly important day, a day that I'll never forget, uh, mostly because our daughter had moved to Manhattan for her first job out of college just weeks before the uh, the towers went down. So she was in Manhattan, not all that terribly far away from the disaster. And Leslie and I both found ourselves relaying phone calls to the families of her friends and colleagues who weren't able to get through because of cell site failures at the time. And it was really powerful emotionally. The other part of all of that really is indelibly etched in my mind is that I actually had a seminar in New York on September 18th, just 7 days later. And I say this with a great deal of pride as a New Yorker. Uh, my hosts for the seminar out on Long Island decided that they were going to go through with the seminar regardless of what had just happened, mostly in defiance, in order to have a tangible evidence that they were not defeated and that life was going to go on. And so I was in Manhattan with my daughter on September 18th as people would stand and cheer as firefighters and first responders would drive down the street. So it's incumbent upon all of us to remember that day and its significance. And perhaps more important, how we all came together as a nation, as a people, and just 20 years ago, as we look at our present situation and how divided we are. So, having said that, this particular journal entry was about sharpening the saw. Now, as I said, I just gotten out of the hospital. I came back to the chaos I left in my office before I went into the hospital for a week, and it was disconcerting. I mean, when you're immersed in chaos, it doesn't feel like chaos because it's what normal is. And we'll talk about normal in another blog post because I've been doing a lot of thinking about that lately. But when you're away from it for a while and you come back and you're confronted with it, and you have a visual representation, and if you go to the mymisfirebook.com website and look at the blog post itself, the written blog post, you'll see a couple of digital images of what my office looked like before and after. And then, anybody with the brains that God gave a duck would be embarrassed to show pictures like that. But I think they demonstrate a point. Stephen Covey in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People talked a great deal about sharpening the saw and how important it is to stop and prepare for whatever challenges you're about to confront. And sometimes it makes more sense to sharpen your saw than to just keep trying to force a dull blade through whatever material it is you're trying to cut. And in Misfire, in the book, What to Do When Things Aren't Running on All Cylinders, I devoted a whole chapter to the idea of force versus impact. Now, sharpening the saw and force versus impact are not identical, but they're similar enough to warrant a comparison. All of us have been in situations in the past where we've dedicated a tremendous amount of effort to trying to get something done, but because it wasn't focused, it didn't give us the desired impact, the desired result we were looking for. And to a large degree, that happens when we don't stop and think about what it is we're doing, why we're doing it, and what that desired result should be. Something else Covey talked about, starting with the end in mind. What I did was spend about 5 hours cleaning my office. I mean, I went through everything that you see in the chaos in that before picture to what's a relatively pristine looking desk. I mean, I can see the top of the desk in the after picture, and file things and put stuff away and made sure everything was where I needed so that when I needed to find it, I could find it. And I think that that's part of the lesson in sharpening the saw. And I also think it's part of the lesson in force versus impact. It's hard to dedicate the precise application of force if you're surrounded by chaos and you can't really grab what it is you need. And I know that I've spent hours looking for stuff that I put away very safely but could not find because I couldn't remember where that safe place was. So as you go through the weekend and as you approach next week, it's something we're thinking about, especially both of these concepts of force versus impact and sharpening the saw moving forward, because all of us are trying to get the best possible result we can out of the strategic application of resources. So on that note, I leave you with that thought. Sharpen your saw, focus on force versus impact and getting the result you want and need. And success versus survival. In the meantime, stay safe, stay home, stay well, stay focused, and take care.